Kelly Oubre has a new agent, and he is now represented by CAA Mafia, which means he might just be a New York Knicks. So we'll unpack that on today's show. But first, I want all the real ones to let me know. Who would you rather have on the Knicks next year? Is it Kelly Oubre or is it Bojan Bogdanovic? The only way you're going to be able to sign Oubre to the mid-level exception is if you waive Bogey. So pick one. Who do you want on the Knicks next year? You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we dive into the latest news and rumors that surround the New York Knicks. And anytime a player that is going to be a free agent or has trade rumors circulating around them and they sign with CAA, we're going to talk about them here on the channel. Because as we know, once you're a part of the CAA Mafia, there is no way you are leaving. So I'll speak for Leon Rose, Sam Rose, Tom Thibodeau, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby. Welcome to the Mafia, Kelly Oubre. If the Knicks, though, do seriously want to sign Kelly Oubre in NBA free agency, they're going to have to make a couple of tough decisions so they do have that full non-taxpayer mid-level exception. Right now, New York has $136 million in committed salary. I did not include the $19 million player option for Anunoby because he is going to decline that. And for the Knicks to have the full mid-level exception, they need to stay below this first apron. And they can do that even if they do re-sign Isaiah Hartenstein and OG Anunoby. So there is a world where the Knicks can bring Hartenstein back for that 4-year, $72.5 million deal, and they can pay Anunoby the money that he deserves and wants and the number that makes the Knicks happy, and still find a way to offer that full mid-level exception, which comes out to about 4 years and $55 million. The way it has to work, though, is if you're going to re-sign OG, and you're going to re-sign Hartenstein, you are going to have to waive Bojan Bogdanovic, as he does have pretty much a team option. They're calling it unguaranteed money. $2 million of it is guaranteed. The other, it goes up to 19, so 17 pretty much is not guaranteed. And the Knicks, they would have to decline that, making him a free agent while carrying a cap charge of $2 million. This photo that you see on screen comes from Knicks Film School. Shout out to Jonathan Macri and the crew over there. They recently did a podcast called Cap or No Cap. I will link that video in the comments section. If you want to learn more about the salary cap, Jeremy Cohen and Knicks Film School, they did a really good job of that. And I thought it would be a good idea to show this picture of where the Knicks re-sign OG Anunoby to a starting salary of $32.5 million. They bring back Isaiah Hartenstein, and they waive Bojan Bogdanovic. That shows them at $12 million below the luxury tax, $19 million below the first apron, and $30 million below the second apron. The reason I'm showing you this is if the Knicks bring back OG at that number and they bring back Hartenstein and they waive Bojan Bogdanovic, they will have full access to this $12.9 million non-taxpayer exception, which comes out to a 4-year, $55 million deal. And I think that could be enough to bring in Kelly Oubre. And Oubre is actually a top mid-level exception target for me. I did my first MLE video about a week and a half ago. You can check that out. That's why you subscribe and turn your notifications on. But we brought up Oubre in that show. And there's a couple of different reasons I like him. One, he brings athleticism to this team. That also gives him another point of attack defender that's a long and lengthy wing. He's 6'7", 200-plus pounds, and he's only 28 years old. So he is still just scratching the surface of who he can be in this league, and he had his best season in the NBA this past year with the Philadelphia 76ers. He played in 68 games, and he averaged 30.2 minutes per night. He gave you 15 points, 5 boards, not really someone that's going to create quality shots for others, not much of a distributor, more of a play finisher. He can get out on the break and run. He could be somewhat of a streaky shooter from downtown, shot just 31% from there, despite the fact that he likes to get his shots up from beyond the arc. 4.8 attempts per game from deep and only shooting 31% is somewhat concerning. But I talked to the host of 76ers Today, a channel here at Chat Sports, and Shea Sr. told me it's 31% but it feels like it's a little bit better than that just because of the fact that he is so hot and cold. And he can get really hot and he can get really cold, so it's really just an up and down. You look at some advanced shooting stats from him, he's much better from that left corner. Shot just 0.7 threes from there last year, but he knocked it down at 40%. From the right corner, he really struggled, just 25% on 0.8 attempts. He likes to get his threes up above the break, which is pretty much just any three that's not from the corner. Shot 30.9% from that area on 3.2 attempts per game, and he only knocked down and catch and shoot threes at 31.2% on 3.5 attempts per game. The point is, he doesn't shoot the ball well. But in the playoffs, in the 6-game series against the Knicks, where the Knicks beat the Sixers, if you forgot, just felt like saying that, he played really well, and he was able to be hot in that series after somewhat struggling the first 2 games. In that 6-game series, he averaged 37 minutes per game, over 13 points, gave you 4 boards, was extremely efficient from the field overall, 48.4 attempts, and he shot 39% from downtown on 3.8 attempts per game. So he has shown you that he could do it in the playoffs. My major concern with Oubre, though, is the lack of just being able to always play basketball games. He played in 68 games this year and was a member of every single postseason game for the 76ers. That's awesome. If I get 68 games of Kelly Oubre every year, I'd be more than happy to pay him 4 years, $55 million. But in 2022, he played just 48 games. In 2021, he played just 48 games. Played in 76 games for the Warriors in 2020. Awesome. But in 2019, he played in just 55 games. So the availability is somewhat of a concern for me, as we already have some injury-prone players on this roster in Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby, and I guess you somewhat have to throw Julius Randle in there at that point. But you look at the points per game the prior 4 years to this one. 20 points, 15 points, 15 points, 19 points. Oubre can fill it up. So that would definitely benefit the Knicks of having a 6'7" wing that can score the basketball while also being an improving defender. I don't know if it was because Nick Nurse was the coach of the 76ers and he just cracked down into Oubre and made him play defense, but I thought Oubre really grew as a defender this year. He was the guy they called on to slow down Jalen Brunson. Didn't do much. As we know, Brunson is just that guy. But I thought Oubre made him work for it. He made him make and take tough shots. And if you could bring Oubre to this team, 6'7", defending wing that can run up and down in the fast break, can score the basketball efficiently while also being able to knock down the occasional three and get hot from that distance and be a backup for Anunoby and Randle off the bench, I think it makes a lot of sense for the New York Knicks. If he wants to come play here for 4 years, $55 million, I would do the deal. I think he just might have to apologize to Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo, as those three were chirping throughout the season. If you're not going to sign Oubre and you still have that non-taxpayer mid-level exception, let's run through about 15 quick players that you could target. Tyus Jones is someone I think the Knicks will have their eyes on. I just think he might be a little bit too expensive for what they have to offer. Derrick Jones Jr., really a renaissance for his career. Big part in why the Dallas Mavericks are in the NBA Finals right now. He could defend multiple positions. He could shoot the ball a little bit. I worry about that in the long term, but he is someone that I think the Knicks will have their eyes on. Royce O'Neale, one of the better 3-and-D players in this league. He can guard 1s, 2s, 3s, and some 4s, and he's almost a 40% shooter from downtown. O'Neal is at the top of my list as well. Not sure he's going to leave the Phoenix Suns. Monty Morris, not too high on him. A scoring guard, I would like more of a playmaker or more of a defender on the wing. Kyle Anderson, a big that can come in and defend multiple positions. He can almost run your offense as a point forward and get easy looks for other players. He could be a distributor off the bench for the New York Knicks. A veteran point guard you could look at is Kyle Lowry. Reports came out yesterday from Fred Katz that the Knicks were interested in signing Lowry. When he was bought out by the Charlotte Hornets. Gordon Hayward is another player as well I'd keep my eyes on. Kevon Looney is actually my top Isaiah Hartenstein replacement if he does leave in NBA free agency. Jonas Valanciunas, a scoring big man, is someone the Knicks could turn to. And Gogo Batadze, a bruiser inside, could make up for the loss of Hartenstein if he does leave. Another 5 players that I did want to talk about as well. These guys may be too expensive, and I actually did a full video on these 5 players, and that starts with Patrick Williams, the young defending wing. I don't think anymore he's going to be close to that mid-level exception market. So not going to spend too much time on him. We did a whole video today on Oubre. Najee Marshall is someone I'm keeping my eyes on. I think that he fits in the tax bracket that the New York Knicks are trying to operate in. That could make some sense. If Saddiq Bey was not coming off a torn ACL, he would be at the top of my list for me. If the Knicks are looking for a point guard to stabilize things when Brunson's off the floor, Reggie Jackson could be the veteran that they look to, as he kind of had one of his better years with the Denver Nuggets this past season. We've gone through 15 players on today's show. I gave you 15 names. Now it's time for you to give me a name. We love audience engagement. And believe it or not, I go down and I read the comments of every video, and I get smarter by listening to all of you. So name a free agent you want to sign with the New York Knicks this offseason. Shout out to everybody that watched today's video. We appreciate you guys. You all been bringing the heat all year long. Just make sure to give me a follow over on social media, at @MarshallGreen_ on Twitter, as well as at @MarshallGreen_ on Instagram. And let's go!